Hi, I'm John and welcome back to my Lair of Action Figures, where I'll be talking and reviewing action figures from different manufacturers. Today we're going to be having a closer look at a figure from Hot Toys. Of course, this is the Punisher from the Daredevil series on Netflix. So the reason I decided to do this character is because I'm a huge fan of the Punisher. From the comic books, I did grow up with it, but we will dive into that more in the history of the figure or more of the Punisher, and I wanted to also take the occasion to do it because I just finished watching the next series shows with, of course, Daredevil Born Again. So show is not too bad. Does have some vibes. There's some on and off stuff that is not too bad, and some stuff could be better. But again, there's many issues. But we're here to talk more about the figure. So, of course, what we need to know about this figure went up for pre-order in the March 2017. For release date, should be fourth quarter of 2017 or first quarter of 2018. I do not remember when I got this figure. I know that I would have gotten later than a regular client who would have purchased it from Sideshow or maybe a shop, due to the fact that we were the last ones to get it as a distributor. We're the ones paying the cheapest for the figure, so we get this stuff in last. And of course, this is something we'll be talking about it in another video regarding the distribution of these products. Now, of course, what we need to know that the figure over here is the model TMS004, that is Hot Toys number, and if you're looking it up on Sideshow, you will need to know that the number for this figure is 903000. Now, something else very interesting to know about this figure also was sold for a suggested retail price of $234.99. Of course, this is based on the Sideshow prices because we don't really have an official price list for these guys. So of course, this is why I didn't want to go into too much details about the price range, because for Europe there's no price range. So we'll be using Sideshow as a reference for this $234.99. Now that we have given you a little spin of the box, let's have a closer look at what we get in the box. Now, before diving into what we get in the box, let's talk a bit history about the Punisher. So the first appearance of the Punisher was on the 1st of February 1974. He appeared in the Spider-Man 127, if my memory serves me well, and that's where we first seen him. The Punisher became a pretty popular character, and then, of course, in 1986, we got the first appearance of the Punisher in his own series. So, of course, they started by doing a mini-series at Marvel. Now, it's very funny because they tell you it's a limited edition of 4 ones. Now, the problem is, it turned out to be 5. There was a lot of controversy around this. If you want me to make a video about it, I can talk about a bit the Punisher, or you can look it up. I'm sure somebody did already some nice reviews regarding this mini-series. Of course, this is Mike Zeck who did the covers, did the drawings inside, not of all of them. But I really do love what Mike Zeck did on these Punisher comic books. I really think they look amazing, and I really like what he did as a drawer. Now, I also know, if you have been reading the Marvel ones of the G.I. Joe, you will know that he did some drawings for some of the G.I. Joes and some of the covers, who are some of my favorite covers. So, of course, later on we got, of course, in a regular series, we got the Punisher. Then afterwards, we got the Punisher War Journal, who was done by Jim Lee. Kind of very funny that they wanted to do a little crossover. And as you can see, in the War Journal number 2, we have a guest star who is Daredevil. So after that, I stopped reading a bit. They became a bit pretty ridiculous, and just decided to stop reading those comic books because I really didn't like where they were going with the Punisher. I don't think even Marvel knew what they were doing at the time with it, so that's why I stopped. Now that we have talked a bit the history in the comic books, let's talk a bit more about the appearance in movies and in TV shows. Now, of course, the Punisher does appear first in the movies in 1989. He is played by Dolph Lundgren. The movie was okay, nothing special. Then we got in 2004 Thomas Jane, who played the Punisher. That was a lot more interesting. It was based on one of the comic ones. I cannot remember exactly which was the comic books, but it was pretty good. And if my memory serves me well, John Travolta was the bad guy. Then we got another Punisher movie in 2008 who got a bit of mixed reviews. I found it okay, but I had the impression the more violent, the more blood spatter all over the place, the better the movie would be. Sadly, it was not the case. I didn't find it extraordinary. It was pretty dark. And the Punisher in that movie was played by Ray Stevenson. Sadly, Ray Stevenson passed away. Of course, you may have seen him lately in the Ahsoka Season 1. He played Baylan Skull. So, RIP to our friend Ray Stevenson. So, of course, now we're going to get into what this figure is based on. Jon Bernthal is the next edition of the guy playing the Punisher on TV shows. So, of course, he did his appearance in 2016 in the Daredevil show from Netflix. Of course, after the success of it, we got 2 seasons of Punisher on Netflix. Then Netflix lost the rights to doing the Marvel shows, and they went back to Disney. There was a little cooling down period, so now we had to wait for them to come back, and now he is back in Daredevil Born Again. Of course, success, hard to say about the show. I found it not too bad. I'm not going to go into too many details, but Marvel seems to believe and Disney seems to believe that they can do something. So there's going to be a small movie coming out with the Punisher and based on what happened in Daredevil Born Again. And we're going to be seeing this guy in Daredevil Season 2. Now that we have cleared the history of this figure and that we are going to have a look at what we get in this box. So, let's see what we get in the box. Now, of course, I have put some white gloves on, and I wanted to do it because I want to take them off. I'm not too keen about wearing them, but I wanted to talk about the vest that comes with this figure. Now, this is this fake leather that our friends of Hot Toys have a tendency of using, and this has a tendency of aging pretty badly. As you can see over here, there's a wrinkle. This was because over here, this was folded over in this way in the box, and you can already see there's some crease marks, a bit like leather, but you can see over here, I'm not really convinced that this is going to last forever. This will have a tendency of breaking up. Now, the reason why I'm wearing these gloves over here, it's because we have a certain acidity and the composition of sweat and other things on the fingers can interact with this fake leather, and this is something that you really have to be careful of. And I know that my friends who are collectors who live in Asia have an even bigger problem due to the fact that there's humidity, extreme high humidity, and that's going to give you a huge problem because your figure is going to really suffer from the high heat and high humidity. So those pleather stuff you really have to take care of. I'm not going to downplay it in the final note I would be giving to this figure, but this is always something who's pretty bad. Now let's continue with what we get, of course, in the box. Of course, we get this little explanation leaflet that tells you what to do with it. There's nothing much in it. That shows you how to put the arms back of the Punisher, shows you how the rifle works, how you need to put the vest on. There's not much in it who makes it really interesting in how to attach the ammo belt to the gun. So nothing really interesting. The part that I really love with this figure, it's this part over here. Now for me, this is something that should be with every Hot Toy figure. The backdrop of having the possibility to pose it like this. Of course, these are the little stands who come up. I really think this is something really great and fantastic and should be put with everything. This doesn't cost much to make, so this would be a nice little add-on. Then we have the standard base of it. I hope this is the right one because I kind of got them a bit mixed up. They were in a box with some other stuff. As you can see, we have the Daredevil logo on it. It's a bit funny that they didn't decide to go with the Punisher. I will be checking out the Daredevil version I have from the next week's show, and I will see if it's exactly the same, because then we have two stands who are exactly the same. So nothing of extraordinary, but it is always nice to get a figure stand with the figure. Now, of course, we're going to be having a closer look at the figure we have. We're going to be taking a closer look at it also. We have an extra Daredevil helmet. We have, of course, a whole handful of hands that the character has. Fist, open, grip hands, open hands, knife holding hands. They really give you a lot of hands, and they are pretty neat. Then we have the extra pegs that go for our friend the Punisher. Here's another extra hand. Then we're going to be going on to the let's say the weapons that come with this figure. I'm going to be putting them over here, so we're going to have a closer look. Then we also have this little patch over here. As you can see, these are little pieces for our figure over here. Just in case you lose them, you can glue them back on. Of course, we have his sniper rifle, who is used at the end of season 2 of Daredevil, where he's helping out Daredevil. Not going to go into it if you haven't watched it. Of course, we have a pistol. Of course, Daredevil is a Marine, so of course you're going to have him come in with a K-bar, who's the typical knife of the Marine Corps. Then we have, of course, the ammo belt, and then we're getting the Gatling gun. So, of course, as you can see, he does come with a lot of gear. Now, I want to jump into this and have a look straight away at the Gatling gun and talk about the Gatling gun. Now, if you have seen the show, you will see that the Gatling gun does not appear anywhere in the Daredevil Season 2 show, and doesn't appear either in the Punisher TV show either. Now, the reason why he has a Gatling gun, if you go and check it out on YouTube, you will be able to have a look, and you're going to see there's promo material that was released for Daredevil Season 2, and Frank Castle does come with this Gatling gun in his hand, and I believe this is the reason why Hot Toys gave him the Gatling gun, because they only could work with the promo material. As you can see, the ammo belt clips in easily. Would I have liked to have a duffel bag to go with it? Yeah, that would have been nice to have a look at that, to have a duffel bag to put the ammo. Now that we have pushed this little anecdote aside, let's have a closer look at our figure itself. As I see, Hot Toys really has a great way of doing faces. You recognize Jon Bernthal, you have a shine in his eye, you have the cut over here. It really, really looks fantastic. Hot Toys for that are really great. I'm not really sure, I haven't seen any other head sculpt who are superior to Hot Toys. I don't have any in art, but from what I've seen, Hot Toys is the best. As you can see, the vest also has a high detail. The way the paint has been applied really is 100% looking like what we have in the TV show. Of course, you can see that there's some places to put some shotgun shells, so he does have a bit of some extra pads. So, of course, this is his body armor. Would have liked to seen a holster or something to put the pistol and then a belt to be able to put the K-bar on. That would have been nice. Now, of course, one of the big issues that this figure has, if you want to make him hold the weapons in a more tactical way, you're going to be very limited due to the fact that the articulations over here is these muscular bodies, so you cannot go higher than this. It is good for basic posing. It looks good. I understand why Hot Toys wanted to go with this body. It's because you're going to see him, and most people are going to be exposing him in this way and not with this little platter garbage jacket. So, of course, we're going to see the pants. There's not much to see, but we need to really talk about the boots, because Hot Toys effed up really bad with the boots. Now, if you look at them, they look pretty bad, but now pretty good. Right till you see this. So they decided to cut the boot over here so you could give it a bit more posability. And frankly, this is really bad. Now you can see it's really hard to match it up, put it in, have it really fit neatly. This is so stupid. And Hot Toys, you did the military line figures. The military line figures had real tissue boots that were done. Some other manufacturers had them. I don't understand, why the hell did you go with those plastic boots? This is so ridiculous of doing that. Now, I'm going to continue with the weapons. I mean, I can't even believe. Now, here we have a sniper rifle. Pretty basics. Of course, the sights can be moved up and down. Not really going to really happen, but you have it over here. You have the bolt action. You have, of course, removable charger with bullets inside. You also have the stock, who's foldable, who's a pretty neat way of doing it. So, I mean, you can see it's a pretty nice rifle itself. It's something that is really used at the end of the movie. Then we have this pistol, and this is where I think that the holster would have came in pretty neat to have it behind his back to be able to have it. If I remember well, he does have something, he stores it behind him, so I don't understand why for Hot Toys didn't do something about it. Of course, you can remove this if you want to. For the people who are fans of 1/6 military stuff, they would have not mind having this kind of stuff. The people who do the movie things, I'm not really concerned that they would be interested in having this little feature. Now we're going on to his K-bar knife. I know I should be wearing the gloves because this is better, but this one seems to be a bit more solid overall. So, of course, we have the thing that I hate the worst with Hot Toys, is this magnetic attach on the belt. So, of course, you can remove the K-bar. Who's over here, the K-bar itself. Nothing special, it's pretty simple. You can see the cutting part of the knife is in silver, so it looks not too bad on that behalf, but this here is really hell. Now, anybody who has some Star Wars figures who have this magnetic stuff and one of these things fell off, good luck in trying to glue it back on. It doesn't really work really well. Of course, this is the basic replacement pegs if you break anything. Of course, we have the Daredevil's helmet as a extra little gift. Looks pretty neat. As you can see, they put some glass red over here, so that when you look at it, it does have some shiny effects of red. It looks okay. I understand why they put the accessory. I think he holds the helmet once in his hand. It's been a long time. I mean, the series came out in 2017, so that's a little while ago. So, of course, we're going to be finished off by the hands that we have. As you can see, many hands are available with this figure. Of course, this one is to hold the knife if you want to put it in the left hand or in the right hand. As you can see, let's see if we can get a closer look. I mean, the details and the paint job on the hands are really amazing. I think you can see them better on his hands who are stretched out. Don't really know why they gave them this, but I mean, if you look, you can see really the details that go into the painting, and I mean, that is really impressive to see how they do the hands. Of course, we do also have his pistol grip hands, so you can use the left hand, the right hand, so that's pretty neat. And something that is really something that you really want, it's the fist hands, because then he can go out fighting the devil, or if he wants to fight anybody else on that matter. So now that we have had a look at this figure, let's go into my final thoughts and what is the value of this figure as a collectible item. So, final thoughts, and do I think that this figure is a collectible item? Well, we're going to give this guy a little spin while I'll be talking about it, so you can admire the figure with all his gear and accessories while he's spinning around. We're going to be talking about the collectible value of this figure. I do believe that this figure has a high-end collectible value due to the fact that it is the Punisher, and that Hot Toys is definitely not going to give us a 2.0 or any relaunch of this figure. Now, of course, with the new Disney Plus series, which should finish, and the fact that we know that Frank Castle is coming back for season 2, he's even getting a mini movie featurette where he's going to go after the bad guys. I'm not going to spoil it if you haven't watched Daredevil Born Again on Disney Plus. So I'm not going to go into any details. I know Hot Toys is going to make another figure. There's high chances. Punisher is really a good seller. And to prove it, they even did a War Machine with the effigy of Frank Castle and a Punisher version of the War Machine figure. So I know Hot Toys will be going after the money, and they're definitely going to make another version. But this one is not coming out, so there's no chances of getting this version exactly back as a relaunch. So this is why I strongly believe that this is a collectible item. Now, regarding my final thoughts and my note of this figure, I'm going to be giving this figure a 7 out of 10. The reason I'm giving him a 7 out of 10 is because, like I said during the review, I just really hate what they did with the boots. Now, as you can see, you can really see over here, it really looks disgusting. You could have used tissue boots. Those have been used on your military line figures and would have looked a lot better. Would I have liked to have a holster behind? I haven't rewatched the TV show, so I don't remember exactly because it was a little while ago. But having a belt and some ways to put these accessories would have made it a lot better. And the fact that we're not getting duffel bag for the Gatling gun is also a big problem. So that's why I'm only giving this figure a 7 out of 10. So that's going to be it for the review of my Punisher TMS004 from Hot Toys. If you like this kind of review, please leave a like, share, comment in the section. If you have any suggestions, you can also put them in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel, it does help a lot by doing that. If you want to go and check out some pictures I have done with this guy, we'll be uploading them shortly also. I did some little photo shoots on the outside, so go and check them out on my Facebook page and Instagram page. The links are in the description. Until then, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!